Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on an episode here of Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, I want to bring you to attention to our IE Sports Radio summer sale. Attention IE Sports Radio listeners, the new merch is in, and we're celebrating the IE Sports Radio summer sale. Head on over to iesportsradioshop.com and enter promo code IERSUM sale 23 to save 10% from July 16th to Saturday, July 22nd. Once again, that promo code is IESRSUMSALE23 to save 10% from July 16th to July 26th on iesportsradioshop.com. We are your shirts and other memorabilia at the site. Now on to the show. On tonight's show, we'll discuss Summer League action, winding down. Who were some surprises, who some disappointments, who we were impressed with, and so forth. Plus, with free agency, most of it kind of died down. We go over our winners and losers, and there's still more moves to come. Plus, who gets traded first? James Harden or Damian Lillard? Also, we talk about the WNBA All-Star Weekend, plus other news around the basketball world. We'll discuss here live on Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. You're direct for RS Sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into tonight. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good, man. Busy day. I'm actually on my way home now. I'll be there in like 2 or 3 minutes, so sorry for the background noise. But Summer League is going by pretty fast, man. It's pretty exciting as well.
Yes, Summer League's been pretty exciting. If you been watching, if y'all been watching, a lot of good action, a lot of good play from the first round draft picks that we have seen so far. If you can catch everything, it's kind of hard, trying to catch everything, because a lot of games be going on in Vegas and all that stuff. But D-Lock, I'll ask you this: from what you see in Summer League, who you been impressed with, and who you not so impressed with, but who needs a little more work towards that game and stuff like that?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the players that really caught my eye was Scoot Henderson. They have a lot of stuff going on in Portland. Talk about moving along from Damian Lillard. And with all the noise going on, knowing that he basically will have the keys, to that team with Shaedon Sharpe, he has shown that he's the perfect person to fit. He can handle that pressure so far. He's one person that has stuck out to me that has played extremely well. So I definitely have liked everything I've seen from him so far. For those that do play underdog or anything like that, they have seen If you pick the under on him getting his points, he definitely he has been hitting his number. So, Scoot Henderson is one person that has played well. Um, to the top picks as far as Victor and Brandon Miller, it seemed like both of them had the same mindset, or talked about it, because Victor played okay, but then went and played against, I believe it was Portland, had the game of his life, or the game of the summer league, and then he was done the rest of the summer league. So then we seen Brandon Miller play pretty decent during the summer league. Go play against, I believe it was Portland, and then they said he was shut down for the rest of the summer league as well. So for me, I think that these picks, they show what they can do. Actually, wish I could pull up some of these stats for a minute. I believe Victor had 27 points against them, and after that was it. So for me, I think that he played extremely well, and Brandon Miller followed up.
I think for me, for like the guys that look really well, the top three guys look. I mean, from what we've seen, if you had to put a pecking order, between those three guys, Victor number one because he at least played 2 games, and that first game against Charlotte, it's like that filling out process, how he's going to adjust all that stuff, and so there's some moments like we discussed a couple weeks ago that he looked. I mean, moments in the game he looked pretty good, played well defensively, offensively. You see the flashes, but also he kind of got knocked down a lot, to our liking. But then that second game against Portland looked really good, really showed that offensive, potential that a lot of people have been salivating about. So I thought he looked good there in that especially in that second game, scoring wise, and also his weak side defense and all that stuff. I put Brandon Miller at number 2 in the pecking order, even though he has some struggles in Sacramento. That little part right there, he has some struggles there. And I kind of attribute that more to coaching because the Hornets play during the summer league has been kind of bad. Like they'll be down big in the first half and then kind of make a little comeback in the second half. And you kind of, if you're a Charlotte fan, you're kind of wondering like, what the hell is going on with this team? And like we discussed on the show before, I wasn't big on Steve Clifford coming back to this team because I think he's offensively bankrupt, how to run a modern day NBA offense. So, you see these, kids kind of struggle with Charlotte, and then it just kind of trickles down to everybody from Brandon Miller, Nick Smith, Amir Bradley, all that, Bailey, excuse me, all that. And then some of the veterans they had is like, ugh. But get to Vegas, you kind of see Brandon Miller's Alabama game kind of pick up. You kind of see, okay, we see why he was drafted number 2. And I hope, with him in little ball, I think hopefully, the spacing and stuff like that, the open looks will open up, come down the line. Scoot Henderson, I put number 3. I know weird order and all that stuff. I know he only played like a half of basketball and some of the third in his first summer league game, but I hurt his shoulder. But like you alluded to, he looked strong at the gate. Really, really strong at the gate. And I think what we discussed here like last week or so, if you're Portland, how long are you going to like to mess around with this Damian Lillard trade? I know it's their prerogative to hang on to Lillard if they feel like it, but it's just like if you see Scoot and you see like okay, we can see what this kid could be. Why are we going to hold back that progress? You know, I know you're trying to get value for Damian Lillard, but it's like, what's the end game here? You know, and I haven't checked, what the last offer for the Heat was to Portland, but it can't be like the worst deal in the world. If you at least get like a couple firsts back, an expiring contract and Kyle Lowry, who can come in, and teach those young guys up there in Portland how to play and all that good stuff. And that salaries come out the books. It's a win-win for everybody. So, Scoot looked very well in his one game against Houston. Even though Houston won the last second shot by Jarvis Smith, who looked really good in the summer league. I think those three rookies look pretty good. Also, I've been impressed with Cam Whitmore and Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins drafted by the New Orleans Pelicans. That kid is, woo! That kid is really, really good. And it's a wonder because while I was evaluating these kids, D-Lock, Cam Whitmore and Jordan Hawkins almost kind of play the same. If y'all go watch their games in college, they kind of play the same height, just about. I mean, I think Cam Whitmore got a little more build to him, so a lot more people have more, I guess, higher, ceiling. But but this is why I kind of hope that the Lakers would, as a fan, Laker fan, I was kind of hoping. Well, the Lakers kind of want to draft Jordan Hawkins. Like, damn, this kid got a lot of potential.
Right, and he's showing it too.
Like, today he had a tip dunk. I forgot against who, but he had a tip dunk in the game earlier today. And I think it was from the our show account page. It's like, dang, this dude fell down this far. And to your Orlando Magic, for example, Anthony Black, good pick up right there. Jet Howard, I was like, I'm not really seeing it there. And for Orlando team that kind of needs some more explosion, that kid could have brought that for y'all. Or Cam Whitmore. See how they play now. But those two guys I mentioned, kid from Miami, John Rez from UCLA, has been very soft from day one. Marcus Sasser, he dropped 40 points for the Pistons. And I think that's.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
That's Detroit got a good value pick right there. Because, whereas we know we covered this sport D-Lock, Kate Cunningham, past couple years, he's been going out with injury for like the rest of the year. And
right,
one thing that's kind of hurt Detroit in his progression is his injuries. And after that, is like they play at that point guard position or two guard spot gone downhill. Willie Hayes showing you that. I was the person who was high on him coming out. But if Sasser could come in if Kate Cunningham goes down, you got somebody who's been through the ringer down with Calvin Sampson. So he's veteran led, knows how to lead, all that stuff, plays tough. So if he goes down, you got somebody right there to fill that void. Along with Jaden Ivey, Asher Thompson there, James Wiseman. You resign Isaiah Stewart to big deal, which ain't the worst thing in the world, but I was like, that's like a lot of money for him. But, also Jalen Duren. So Detroit looking pretty good right now. Oh yeah, Bogdanovich too, but he's still staying trade rumors, so there's that. But Sasser, he looked pretty damn good in my eyes. Do you have anybody else in mind that looked pretty good to you?
It was a couple other names. I definitely like what I seen out of Anthony Black. Me being a Magic fan, I definitely been trying to see what is going to happen with him. How is he going to look? And it looks like he's going to play. He's gonna grab minutes from somebody. And he is definitely showing that he can bring that energy. So he mainly stuck out to me, along with Brandon Miller, Victor. And I think it was somebody else. Was it somebody for the Bulls that didn't look that bad that I was checking out? Was it Daniel Terry?
No, it wasn't him.
Somebody else. Or Darling. It was a Darling. Darling didn't look. I mean, I seen him, but he just didn't look like. He kind of reminds me of like just mainly a 3-point shooter. So it wasn't him. It was somebody for the Bulls that looked pretty decent.
Let me pull it up because
Was it Freeman? On the consistency.
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Javon
Yeah.
Freeman.
Yep.
Because
That's who it was.
because the Shy Bulls podcast, who do an excellent job on Chicago sports, especially the Bulls, who I did a show with them along with our own Adam Karnick here on iSports Radio. They do an excellent job breaking down the Bulls, talk about the Bulls, all that stuff. So do check them out, on Twitter, Shy Bulls Podcast, on YouTube as well. They post videos on the daily, so do check out those brothers. They do a great job there. But they talk about, Javon Liberty. He's got to be brought in for a training camp deal. And, Jalen Terry, he had his moments in summer league for the Bulls. But it's just like, with a team like that, Chicago, who's kind of like running in the back of everybody, you kind of need like a couple bright spots. And Terry, who you spent a first round pick on, really ain't giving you that hope to kind of like be that bright spot. AO, IO is still out there in free agency. You haven't brought him back. So Terry, really didn't get that brass ring to kind of fill that void. But, this Liberty kid, if he could come in and show something, that'd be great for the Bulls. Because, they got that injury exception for Alonzo for $10.2 million. Now, what they do with that, I couldn't say. But do you think they can, if they're trying to still continue, Luck, do you think they go after someone like a Christian Wood who's still out there, or somebody else?
I think that's what they need to go after somebody. I mean, right now, if you look at the Bulls depth chart, right, who they have, They got you're gonna miss Lonzo Ball. Um, Martin Rosen. Right now, I've heard trade rumors about Zach LaVine, but I don't think they're trying to move on from him. Just paid Vooch all that money. They signed Torrey Craig too.
Yeah, it's on Torrey Craig as well.
Right. So to me, I think they are fine at the guard position. I think they're good. You know, you sign Jabron Carter, Alex Caruso is there, Zach LaVine. You know, Terry is going to come in there probably get some good minutes. You're fine at the guard position. You need to go get some more bigs. Drummond is not the only way I think Drummond is very productive is if he's starting. That's just my opinion. Um, but you have to go get you some guys, and Christian Wood could be that guy. Now, my biggest question I had to ask one of my Laker friends is, if you sign Christian Wood, what do you start him or do you bring him off the bench? I think no matter where Christian Wood goes, that's a question that needs to be answered. If he signs with Chicago Bulls, do you start him or do you bring him off the bench?
You start him.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have Vooch there, so do you put Christian Wood at the 4? And you kind of play that role, which isn't bad. I mean, I feel like the approach of having your power forward and your center being longer than 6'9" is perfect. You're gonna grab damn near anything off the glass. We've seen it work multiple times. And I think that's the approach that possibly needs to be done. But to be honest with you, man, that's the biggest. We're talking about summer league. We talk about the draft. We've talked about free agencies. The biggest surprise for me all summer long, all season, is Christian Wood not having signed with anybody. I would have thought at this point somebody would have, Lakers, one of the teams you would think would have signed this guy and brought him on. So they need to consider. Bulls definitely need to consider bringing in people because Vooch, who I think is a hell of a player, but from my experience with Vooch, man, he freezes during the playoffs, and he freezes when it's time to play against those defenders, those big defenders. He definitely freezes, and I've seen it happen multiple times. So for me, I think they need to bring in, some other players. It definitely will help them out if they can go grab them some bigs. But Christian Wood should be at the top of their list, especially with it being so late. They'll get him for a pretty low price.
Yeah, I think, if you're the Bulls, if like some of these guys ain't really grabbing your attention, then, and like I said, you got the $10 exemption for Alonzo. You got to make good use of it. And I'm not saying, you can't look in the trade market, but there's still some decent free agents out there. So Wood will help. And then, what we talked about on that special show with Adam Cardick in the Shy Bulls podcast, you got to move Patrick Williams to the 3. Him being like that stretch 4, that 4-man, it really it don't work at all. It hasn't worked at all. But Chicago still has him out there at that 4 spot, in which he should be in that 3 spot. So I think getting Wood there, you put Vooch at the 5, 4 with Christian Wood, the Rose at the 3, LaVine at the 1. I mean 2, and then Javon Carter at the 1. And then your bench, you're looking like Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry, Andre Drummond. That's a pretty solid 9-man rotation there that you got for Chicago if you're still trying to compete. So, Chicago, those two kids, I think these won't work. Like I said, if the Bulls going to still try to contend, you still give them a little more time to grow, but you kind of need those new kids to kind of come in and be solid. But I do want to shout out one player, D-Lock. Imani Bates for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't know why that was a name that passed my brain. Yep.
I brought him up. I think we reviewing the draft and stuff like that. He's talked about when we talked about the draft. This is a kid that about 3 years ago, a lot of folks were talking at least lottery projected. Could really shoot the ball, all that stuff. Will fit in today's game. Got to Memphis. Penny had that big recruiting and all that stuff. Get to Memphis, it really didn't pan out like he hoped. Left to go to Eastern Michigan, which I think, if he had to redo things there, he should have went to never power school. And I know Auburn called about him. I know Alabama did. And I can't. There's another school out there that called about him, but he went to Eastern Michigan. It was so there. He got to shoot the ball a lot, but it just we get some of that talented and you just let him do what he wants. It's not really helping the team. It's not really helping the player. And Eastern Michigan kind of suffer for that. But you fast forward to this summer league. Cleveland's 5-0. They play for the summer league championship tomorrow against Houston, who is really good. Imani Bates at 20 points, for overtime win for Cleveland. And he's really good. Rebounding and stuff like that. A thing I kind of worry about him, even though as tall and thin as he is, that's one thing I kind of worry about. But he's looked pretty good. A pretty good get in the second round for Cleveland. And we're talking about like a Cleveland team, D-Lock, that kind of needed help on the wing and scoring from the wing at that position. If this kid can develop right, I think Cleveland got a good steal. And I know they signed Max Strus from Miami, but Bates got the higher upside this Strus. And you don't want to stick like a kid like that and sticking for the G League for a whole year. You kind of want to get him NBA experience at the same time. So it's kind of like you're in a catch-22 situation. Like, yeah, we're sticking for G League for a little bit, but we got to play him in some regular season games to see if we get some tremendous value for him. And if you do, got a solid player on the wing that you could possibly flip or keep with your young squad. If you don't, it's a second rounder. You still may lock in, may keep him around, but you can move off with him pretty easily. So I like what Bates done over the summer. Like I said, they're playing the championship game against Houston tomorrow. The Houston team does look pretty good. Like we mentioned, like Cam Whitmore, he looked good. Robbie Smith has been playing excellent ball. Torrey Eason. So that'd be a good game tomorrow with Cleveland and Houston in the Summer League final.
Man, like I said, a lot of these games definitely showed us what we can see from these players. And I'm like what I'm seeing so far, man. To be honest with you, I haven't seen that many disappointments.
Yeah, I think that's encouraging for us. It's like, okay, none of these kids look too bad out there. A lot nice talent. You know, the undrafted guys. Um, nice talent for them. Good play for those guys as well. You know, for the Spurs. Before we get to our next subject, you know, I forgot the kid's name from the Spurs, but I was trying to find the kid's name. I forgot the kid's name. I think it was like Champagne or something like that. Last name Champagne for the
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. He played last year. He played for them last year. I
he
think the
looked
power
pretty.
forward.
Yeah, probably not that stretch four or something like that. He looked pretty. The few games, especially all eyes on Victor and stuff like that. He looked pretty damn good for the Spurs, and I think that's somebody who you got to keep around. Yeah, Julian Champagne. That's a guy you got to keep in the fold. You're in the Spurs. It's like, oh, okay, this dude's pretty nice. So keep him around and see what he can do. But I like that. I like that guy a lot. For the Spurs. Um, Other than that, emails you could think of who look pretty good to you in Summer League.
I think it's the last. I mean, it's not anybody else I really could think. I mean, like I said, not that many disappointments. I did want to say that at first I was kind of bothered by Jet Brown, but after looking after looking up his stats in college, I'm not really too disappointed. I'm just kind of like, okay, this is what you got to expect, from this guy. So not too much disappointment after doing my research more and more, highlights, stats, stuff like that. I was fine with that. But other than that, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool too. Uh, just look at the I talked about the Lakers here for a hot second. I wish Jalen Hood Shafino had the ball more in his hands more. I know they had a ball in Max Christie's hand a lot, but I kind of wish Hood Shafino had the ball in his hand a little bit more. From the times I watched them in the summer league, I was like, if you're trying to groom this kid for your point guard for the future, you gotta let him run the ball a bit more. Yeah, I see more Christie as more of a two guard anyway, so I don't know why. I mean, I'm not saying you can handle the rock, but like you can delegate both of those responsibilities, both of those guys, in my humble opinion. So other than that, that's really about it about summer league on that subject. Shifting gears real quick. Um, we were gonna do winners and losers of free agency so far last week, but we didn't get to that point. But we're going to hit that subject now, D-Lock. Who are your winners and losers of free agency so far in your eyes?
Well, if I had to pick a couple of teams of winners, um, I think that there's a multiple teams that made big moves. To be honest with you, one of the teams that's one of the winners they had to pick was the Indiana Pacers. You paid Tyler Halliburton. You brought in a piece like a Bruce Brown, who we thought that the Pacers were a team that was kind of getting ready for rebuild mode. They went and got a huge piece that could play a big part in their organization. And I really like the fact that they made that move. Um, Another team that I'm going to say that played very well too, that's a winner, is the Phoenix Suns. Just signed Bobo today. You had a hell of a move with, getting a Bradley Beal, putting your piece together. You had to move off of Chris Paul, but I think I seen today. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you seen it where they say that basically Bradley Beal is going to possibly start at point guard next season. And if that's true,
Yeah, I'm
up in the air,
boy.
right? So But for me, I feel like you're putting they got the pieces around Kevin Durant, and the reason why I say they're winners because although they're winners in the free agency, they have to make sure that this is put more pressure on Kevin Durant to handle his business. It's just that simple. So I definitely seen them as one of the winners. Um, and for me, man, like this might be a sleeper, but Golden State Warriors. I mean, you have a guard that you're bringing in that can help that second unit tremendously. You have another leader that can come in. You know, they have the history in the past, the different issues. You bring in the Chris Paul, re-sign Draymond. You have your same unit, and now you have another person who can help that second unit come in and facilitate. I think that is a huge piece for them. And obviously, the number one team for me is the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm loving everything that they did. We're going to get the guys that they have gotten. The biggest piece that I love that they got was Cam Reddish. You know, you got a Cam Reddish. Then you went and got a Gabe Vincent. You put together more defensive players on that team, you know, to fix a few things. You went and got a Torian Prince. These are defenders that you're going to need. Then going to grab, hey, well, we need another big. They go sign Jackson Hayes, who could play better with the Pelicans. He just was lacking the minutes with all the bigs that they had there. So they're at the top of the list for me, the Lakers. The losers, oh my gosh, this can go all kind of places. Uh, Toronto Raptors. Lose Van Fleet. Not mad at Dennis Schroeder, but I don't. You know, you're still possibly losing Pascal Siakam. So I think you had to pay Gary Trent some type of money. Cool, but I just didn't like what happened with that. The Orlando Magic. We ain't do shit during the offseason. Honestly. You went and signed Joe Ingles. Like everybody can say, oh, it's nothing but 2 years, 26 million, depending on how the bonuses go. But it's Joe Ingles. That's not a splash move. You picking up Joe Ingles like you are one player away from being in the NBA Finals. Like you're like 2 or 3 shots away from being in the NBA Finals. So to me, I did not like that. That didn't do anything for me. The other team that is the biggest loser, now cap it off with this, the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I know we just talked about them. We talked about how they're loaded at the guard position. They have DeMar DeRozan. Why in the hell did you give Vooch all that money? That's my biggest thing. You gave Vooch all that money. So I'm kind of confused because it's just like, what was the reasoning behind that? You could have let him walk and got somebody else, or hell, trade or whatever. You could have did something else. But to give Vooch all this money, like he was an all-star last year, just didn't make any type of sense. Which made me appreciate the Magic for something that they've done that made sense, which was trade Vooch to Chicago. So to me, I think that's one of the biggest losses. And then you gave Devon Carter money like he just was the MVP last year. Like he was Bruce Brown or somebody like that. So the Bulls, I definitely think they took a loss. And the biggest thing with that, even though we cannot control, is the fact that they are now basically accepting the fact that they're not going to have Lonzo Ball next year. So if that's the case, that's one of the biggest things I think that definitely hurt and made them one of the top losers.
Real quick, before I get started, I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. For some of y'all don't know on High Sports Radio, Terry Rodriguez does our volleyball show Set Point. And here recently, he has scored a endorsement with a volleyball shoe company. I wish I had a link again. I'm pulling up. Try to give me a second. Let's see. I think I got it. There we go. A volley is a volleyball specific footwear for men and women's, mainly for the ladies out there. Uh, Mr. Rodriguez, he scored a big get on that. Um, for set point and for himself. So before I move forward, I want salute you, Taryn. You did a great job with that. You pushed hard for this, and you know this is a big get for you and your show for set point. So I want to congratulate you on your behalf of Fast Break. Uh, Great job, sir. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's supposed to get an interview with the PR people here soon. So be on the lookout for that. If any information comes about that, we'll push it through our Twitter feed and all that stuff, and also on Instagram as well. So be on the lookout for that interview here down the line, but hopefully soon. And one of his comments, D-Lock, brings me to the Lakers. Because he asked about, what we thought about Austin Reeves resigning, all that stuff, and Austin making the World Basketball Team. I'll get to the World Basketball Team. Good move for him to kind of work on his game more, work with the other top players, young players in the league and stuff like that. So I think it's a good move for him and a great selection in which, come Olympic time, depending on who they choose, Austin may be called upon to make their Olympic roster. Who knows? So I think it's a good move for him to add more visibility to himself and for the Lakers, in my eyes. So I think it's a good move for him there. But the Lakers, D-Lock, re-signing Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves to about $100 million each. If you really look at it, like a 7-year, $100 million contract, as you combine all the years and contract all together. Now, granted, Reeves got a player option for that third year, so you're looking at least 6 years under $100 million for those two guys. That was a great get. It was a great get for Rob Pelinka and company to get those two guys for basically 6 years under $100 million for those two guys who became real contributors for you, especially in the playoffs. Rui shot the ball very well in the playoffs. I think shot the best he ever has done in the league. Because I don't know, maybe you remember or have a time you seen him shoot the ball well, but I never really see him shoot the ball like that, like he was in the playoffs.
Nope. Nah, he shot crazy that game. He was doing everything he needed to, like his life depended on it. And got paid for it too.
Like, damn, man. I don't think you never shot like this in Washington the time you said stepping in the league. And it's like not like getting points and stuff like that. It's just like the consistency, really. I don't know. It's somebody work on his jump shot or whatever when he got to the Lakers, but somebody when he shoots the ball when he first got with the Lakers, and I noticed for the first couple games, he didn't really fall fool in that jumper like that.
Nah.
And I look like, damn, he really don't fall through his jumper like that. Now, some guys don't do that and shoot the ball excellently. Don't ask me how. And it's just like basketball is like a weird thing. Like if something works well for you, you really don't change it and stuff like that. It's just kind of odd. Like this high school help out with, you know, this one kid, D-Lock, this kid got to be butt naked, wide open to shoot a jump shot. And the way he shoots,
Mm.
the way he shoots is like none of these coaches are working on this kid to change his shot. And you know, if he's not butt naked, wide open from where I live to where you live in Atlanta, then he's not taking a jump shot.
Confidence low.
Well, no, surprisingly not. Confidence ain't low. If he hitting shots and stuff like that, he does little, I don't know, like little pose and stuff, all that stuff. When he makes a shot and all that. Well, anyways, but point is, somebody must work on her ours jump shot, and where that turning point happened, that he's been playing very well. And the more encouraging signs, like the series against Denver, shut the ball very well, playing about a good defense you can on Jokic. You know he's going to get his regardless. And I think him and Austin Reeves are signing is a great deal. And then getting Gabe Vincent was a good surprise. I was like, damn, I didn't think he was on the radar like that. But you started hearing reports that they were interested in Bruce Brown and stuff like that, which makes sense. But since he signed with the Pacers, which I'll get to in a second, getting Gabe Vincent, not a bad consolation prize if you're the Lakers. And you got another guard just in case if D'Lo ain't popping, against Sacramento or something like that. You got Gabe Vincent there. And we talk about in the draft. I like the 2 draft picks. I like those 2 guys a lot. Getting Jackson Hayes was a good deal for the money he signed. Cam Reddish, we'll see how it works out. I kind of for the money that Lonnie Walker signed with the Nets, I wish they kind of maybe kept Lonnie because he's already in the system. But it is what it is. So Lakers good solid off season all around. I can't be mad at that. The Pacers get Bruce Brown, to come in to that squad for that 3 spot. Good get for them. Traded for Obi Toppin. You kind of trying to sort that 4 spot. Good trade for them as well. And also kind of weakening that next roster. Jarvis Walker, I love that draft pick a lot for Indiana as well. Could really be a good player for them down the road. I really like that pickup for them. You resigned Tyrese Halliburton to a big deal, well deserved. Benedict Mathurin is coming to his own. So I like what Indiana did in their offseason. Looking around also, Golden State.
Wow. So you agree with me?
Well, it's like they're winners and losers in my book. Getting Chris Paul was a bold move. I know Chris Paul may push for a starting spot, but if you put him in that second unit, and I think I mentioned the show before, with Moses Moody and Kuminga, I think it would go a long way for that team down the line. I think Steve Kerr and company have botched the 2 timeline deal heavily, and I think he should be called out for that more. To be honest with you, but you can somewhat redeem yourself if you can get Moody and Kuminga with Chris Paul. But Marty Jones had a good point on his podcast, I think last week or something like that. Like Chris Paul is kind of like that. He brought a good point. Like Chris Paul is like that mean ass teacher that you have around like middle school that like really hard on you, but like down the line in life, you go back and remember like, damn, he or she,
Miss Griffin. Yep.
They're mean as hell, but they have some good points, and they really helped me out. So,
Miss Griffin, that was my 6th grade teacher. I remember her. I remember, man, that lady was so mean, but she had the right intentions.
And you don't think about stuff like that. You don't think about stuff like that until you're older. And stuff like that. You remember like some teachers like that. Like, damn, so and so, they rough as hell, or you hear stories about them from older folks or whatever that used to be them. Like, yeah, you don't want them and stuff like that, and then you get them. Oh, okay, because each experience is your own. And I think for those two young guys, I think that'll be great for them, for that second unit for the Warriors. Here's why, they losers in that way. I hated that Draymond Green got rewarded. In my eyes, I still don't like it. We talk about the punch and stuff like that against Jordan Poole. And, now you're starting to hear reports like a lot of guys on the team, got tired of Jordan Poole's play and stuff like that. Him jacking up shots, all that good stuff. They got tired of that, but you got a system that I'm saying you don't jack up shots all the time, just like that, but you kind of got like free will to shoot. So I was just like, I really don't know where the argument is. But Draymond getting re-signed, I'm not surprised, but it's just like this dude got this teammate that he don't like basically off the team. He gets rewarded with another $100 million contract. And I'll be honest with you, he still don't get vilified for enough for that. And people wonder why, Poole's play kind of, was kind of like a setback this past season, and the Warriors as a whole kind of suffer for it because, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, like you gotta be around this dude a lot,
every day,
every day and all that stuff, practice, locker room, bus, flights, shoot around.
And that's not the only bad thing. You got to realize, even though we are just seeing that they're around each other, but you got people in the locker room asking questions about that situation. Or, okay, how is it with Draymond now? You lost this game, and you and Draymond had this amount of assists, and it was a play where he could pass you the ball, but he didn't. Little stuff like that we're not even thinking about. He's hearing all the time. That makes it tough, man.
And then on top of all that, the teammate stuff that's been coming about him out there. It really not good for him. Now we'll see how things shape out for the Wizards. Him and the Wizards. I think they were another winner for me because they finally got done with Bradley Beal. Granted, some people say they didn't get the draft capital and all that stuff. Yeah, true, but got a contract the books. You weren't going nowhere. So at least you get him out the books. You're kind of done with that. You free up more time for the young guys. And I think Washington also kind of wins my book. I love the draft pick of oh God, what's that French dude's name? Let me pull it up. Upon give me just a second. Bilal Kuble. I like the draft pick of him. I kind of hated they traded Monty Morris away, but I think Detroit got a good get on that. They signed Kyle Kuzma to a 4-year, $90 million contract. So Washington did pretty solid for me. For the winner side there. Losers, real quick, D-Lock. Damian Lillard and James Harden. Now, as this show live we're going on right now, both of those guys were created trade requests. You hear more energy about Damian Lillard possibly getting traded here soon. Doesn't materialize yet. Miami has offered. Portland kind of been wanting more. What? I don't know. I think we discussed combinations here on the show. But, it is what it is. Harden. It seemed like it's like the Clippers are bust. There were kind of that faint rumor for the Bulls, maybe making a move for him, but I think they decided not to. The Knicks said they weren't interested, even though I think it could be like a good play for them. But it seemed like the Clippers are bust. I say that they're two losers because we talked about this show about Dame before. Like, I understand getting your money, but sometimes you got to get out when you're getting good. And you should have seen this on the writing on the wall a while ago. I think like a lot of people pointed out, I think he was a year late on his trade request. And now we're here. Him and the front office are going back and forth. And I don't know who gets traded first, him or Harden. Because Philly, they kind of quiet on their end. Harden's read, been files, hey, Clippers are buzz. I was like, is that the best situation for you, dog? With Kawhi Leonard with his bad knees, George and his injuries. Kobe Brown looked pretty good for the Clippers in summer league play. Shout out to Huntsville, but if you're the Clippers, are you giving up the farm for James Harden? Let me ask you this, D-Lock. Who gets traded first? Damian Lillard or James Harden?
That's a tough question. But for me,
I was asking, who gets traded first between Damian Lillard or James Harden? Who do you think gets traded first between one of those two guys?
for me, I think it's a tough question because he wants to go. He's making it clear. Listen, I want to go to Miami. But James Harden is more so of listen, I just want to get out of Philly. I got a few destinations. They just haven't been like a Christmas list of where he wants to go. But for me, man, I think that James Harden gets traded first. And the reason why is because Dame knows where he wants to go.
Yeah.
Franchise. Dame is the player. So just because he wants to go there doesn't mean that Jamal Kane, Kyle Lowry, 3 first-round picks, and Udonis Haslem extend the contract to get him there. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to want to take something that they want in return. Now, it's not going to be Jimmy Butler. And even I'll say this off the record. I'll say this like sidetrack. Like, I think that the only way that is a Portland to Miami trade between Dame and Miami's going to have to give up Bam. They're going to have to give up Bam Adebayo to go to Portland. So I think, honestly, for that to not happen, a third team is going to have to come in and make some shit happen. But for me, it's clear this man wants to go to Miami. So what the hell is taking so long? Like, it's more to it. Portland understands what Dame is. They want something in return. Now, we talked about earlier in the show, we talked about who was showing out in the summer league. We talked about Scoot Henderson, Shane Sharp, who played great at the end of the season when Dame got shut down. I think they're solid at the guard position. The biggest part that they need is Yusuf Nurkic. They need to go ahead in the center position where Yusuf Nurkic is, and we know that he is very inconsistent right now, injury-wise as well. So I think that for this trade to happen, I don't know if it's going to be a 3-team trade, 4-team trade, 2-team trade. I think Portland is wanting a center in return, regardless if it's a all-star or not. But I think that trade is going to take a while. I just seen a tweet, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and they were saying that if it takes months to get this trade done, it's going to take months, and Portland is okay with that. I just don't see that trade happening anytime soon. Now, to where the James Harden trade, Harden is literally telling you that he wants to go somewhere else. You know how much you paid him. You're just trying to fill that cap space up to trade him somewhere else. So you're looking at Tyrese Maxey is good. They are looking for other pieces. Tobias Harris is one person that they're considering moving. So if that's the case, I think that move is gonna add more pieces for them to get. And not the best move, but I mean, hell, if LA Clippers say they're gonna give me some draft picks, Marquise Morris, maybe a Terrence Mann, who else? Philly. As long as you're not moving out Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, because those are the centerpieces for the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? They're not going anywhere right now. So now, if another team comes to intervene, it's a different conversation for a different day, maybe next Sunday. But it just seems like the James Harden trade. I think the James Harden trade, which is kind of being the second trade people are talking about. That's the reason why we don't hear that much about it. I think that trade is slick being talked about or being moved on a little quicker than Dame trade. Therefore, I think James gets traded before Dame does.
I'll probably, I probably had some more losers, but I'll wrap it up on like this. I think I'm on the same boat with you, James Harden getting traded first, because at least the Clippers, they got the salary and stuff to get it done. And I think if you're Philly, you can flush out that roster, that guys you can get back for James Harden. Marcus Morris, Luke Kennard. You got to think about the young guys. Which young guys you gonna send over? Do you send it over at Kobe Brown or Terrence Mann? So forth. And you got to think about that. Also, And then, you look in the free agent market, Kendrick Nunn, he hasn't signed yet with anybody. You got him out there, for example. So, I mean, it's just like, who can you fill out with that roster if you trade away James Harden? I know trading away James Harden is going to sting a little bit. But, trying to pull that Philly roster real quick. Come on. There we go. Still got Tobias Harris there. PJ Tucker probably including that trade to kind of balance out things, which ain't probably the worst thing in the world. In my opinion. Still got DeAnthony Melton. Tyrese Maxey, you kind of dead set not trading at all. You brought back Paul Reed after he signed a restricted deal with the Jazz. So you still got him in the fold. Signed Pat Bev. So trading James Harden kind of flush out the roster with some of those guys that just bitching. Probably the baddest move in the world. If you're Philly, for the Clippers, I don't know. I mean, he brought back Russ. Added Kenyon Martin Jr. was a pretty good get, in my opinion. But he's got to hope those top three guys, Leonard, George, and Harden, can stay healthy. And then you talk about Russ and Harden. Those guys at their stage of careers in Houston did not get along that well.
Nope.
If y'all don't remember, those guys didn't get along too well. Were they at their stages of their career? So you got to think about that. Also, Harden is a guy got a ball in his hands, and so does Russ. So you got to think about that basketball aspect of it. So I was just like, how's it's gonna fit with everybody? I don't know. And then Lillard, that situation, I really can't say D-Log. I'm pretty sure every team's put other offers in, but Lillard, like I said, this in Miami outline, like I said, I think Miami can get the deal done straight up. But it seems like Portland is just on that BS right now. And I don't know what's taking so long. If you're Portland, if you're really trying to rebuild, I know you re-signed Jeremiah Grant for that big contract. If you're smart, I don't know, man. It's just like, I think they get the deal done between those two teams. I don't know why a third team's got to be facilitated. I know Portland's trying to get assets, but you got a lot of young guys on the roster already. So I just think use that to your advantage, in my humble opinion. But time will tell on that.
If they wanted to get that trade done, it would have got done already.
Yeah.
The man already said he wanted to go to Miami. So what the hell they waiting on?
Yeah, I think, like I said, Miami got the assets to get it done. It's just up to Portland if they want to accept it. But like I said, Lowry, either Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, a couple first-round picks, the Joker kid from last year who you drafted in the first round. And then, well, you trade away Victor Oladipo on that salary, but I think you can still get that done with Lowry and that trade scenario there. If you got for like 4 first-round picks, do it. But just get the deal done. But other than that, I think Desmond loses so far, Phoenix was level one because they don't have a point guard now. I mean, yeah, they got Bradley Beal who could play it, but I was like, I think you need somebody to facilitate to kind of have Booker and Bill wide open. That's just my opinion. On the opening weeks, that's just my opinion, but we'll see how that works out.
Trade campaign.
So we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been our show tonight here on IE Sports Radio. Like I said, we're having a sale on the website, IE Sports Radio shop. Do check it out. I'll read the promo code again. Let me pull it up real quick. IE Sports Radio having a summer sale. Use the code IESR SUM sale 23. IE Sports Radio shop.com from July 16th to the 22nd. Save 10% off on all orders. Do check it out. Buy some stuff from us. Got a lot of big things going on in the network. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
3. Like I said, I've been very happy with what I've seen out of Anthony Black, so I'll talk about it a little bit more. And also, football season is around the corner, so I'll be talking about that as well. Let them know they can find you at the show's page.
You follow the show's page at Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR on Twitter. You follow IE Sports Radio on all your social media feeds: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll see how long Twitter lasts. I might ask Larry, maybe get something set up on Threads through Instagram for IE Sports Radio and get hopped on there and get our bells and base on there. So maybe Threads down the line here as well. I do know a show this out called The Crooks Process. You can find the show on Facebook and Instagram. You see the CP logo there on the profile pic. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. Do follow me on TikTok at Spawn4288 as well. I did talk about DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Tennessee Titans. So I did a little video there talking about that. Like D-Lock said, NFL season right around the corner. So I'm pretty sure Larry will get the 3 and Out series starting out with the NFL previews here down the line. So be up and look out for that. Like I said, a lot of big things happening in the network. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.